Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
everyone. Oh, go ahead.
I'm Wendy Halkowski. I'm the Residency Program Director for the PM&R program at UPMC. And I just wanted to do a quick hi and thank you to the PM&R scholars for providing us with this opportunity to share some information about our program with everyone. And I would also like to introduce Jennifer Olson, our Chief Resident, who will lead the discussion. Jen?
Thank you, Dr. Halkowski. Hi, everybody. And again, just want to say thank you to everyone for listening in. I know that this is a stressful time. As Ryan previously stated, this is unprecedented. And so it's awesome to see this much engagement and interest, and everybody's anxious to get started with recruitment season. So thank you again for giving us the opportunity to talk. I do have some slides. So let me go ahead and see if I can share my screen.
We can see your screen, yes.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And again, as Dr. Halkowski stated, I'm the academic chief resident. We have 3 chiefs this year. I'm mostly responsible for didactics, but I volunteered to chat with you guys. So this is our program at UPMC. We're a pretty big program. We have a categorical option for intern year where 5 residents can match and do their intern year as part of the PM&R program. And then an additional 4 join for their PGY 2 through 4 years. So for a total of 9 in those classes, which again has all the benefits of a big class. Like Ryan stated, you cover a lot, but you divide the work and you divide the benefits of the large class. And so it does occasionally get sunny in Pittsburgh. You may have heard to the contrary, but we have rare sunny days and we decided to take a picture. I want to start by saying one of the best features of our program is our, besides the residents themselves, is our excellent clinical faculty. They're not only wonderful teachers and mentors, but they hold a lot of leadership positions. They do a lot of research, and any interest you can think of, there's probably someone that does something with that in our program. And we do like to talk about how we're the #1 in NIH funding grants for PM&R departments throughout the country. A lot of prolific research in all sorts of areas. For example, our department chair is Dr. Gwen Soa, who's here in this slightly blurry picture. And she is an MD PhD and does basic science research on kind of the molecular biology and molecular milieu and axial back pain. And she's also the incoming president-elect for AAP. Dr. Amy Houtrow does a lot of public health and advocacy work for children with disabilities. And she was the first pediatric physiatrist to be named to the National Academy of Medicine. Some great diverse faculty there. So we like them. Yeah, and they're great mentors. You get assigned a faculty mentor, but you're free to change that based on your interests, and that's just for like life and advice. And you'll also have a research mentor, but any of them are always willing to offer advice or teach both formally and informally. And we do feel like we have a strong educational background. Our residents frequently present at national conferences. On average, this year kind of skewed our numbers with conferences, because in the spring people weren't able to attend their normal conferences, but strong support for conference presentations and research and publications. We have dedicated research tracks and an administrative track, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. We have residents who hold national leadership positions in all of the academies. And we have 4 ACGME accredited fellowships within the PM&R department. So PEDS, sports, TBI, and spinal cord. And there's also, UPMC has an anesthesia pain ACGME accredited program that usually will give up to 2 spots to our residents. So we frequently will have people match from in-house. And something new that we're starting is this value-based fellowship in spine and musculoskeletal medicine, which sounds a little bit gobbledygooky, but it's actually really cool. We have some faculty who are very passionate about like whole body, holistic pain care and musculoskeletal health. And so this will be a non-interventional program aimed at addressing the, the mind, body, and spirit, mind, body, and soul of musculoskeletal pain and musculoskeletal medicine. That's something that we're still in the works of creating here, but it's cool. I thought I'd give you guys just a brief overview of the way we do our rotations. For intern year, for those 5 residents who opt to do the categorical year, you do your intern year. You're technically in our department, but you basically do an internal medicine year. And you do that at UPMC Mercy, which is the safety net hospital in town. So this is where it's a very busy service. You'll get really good at managing CHF, COPD, but ranging all the way up to the weird zebras and just a very interesting and but intense intern year. And then for everyone else, when you come in as a PGY 2 through 4, just to briefly touch on the overview, you'll do 8 months of inpatient as a PGY 2, and it gets progressively less as you go on. And so we did want to make sure that even as a PGY 2, you get some experiences in different areas of PM&R. For example, you get some EMGs, you'll get some time with our interventional pain doctors, some musculoskeletal ultrasound with our sports docs. And during your PGY 2 year, you also get a dedicated research block, 4 weeks, where you work with a mentor specifically to do an original project of publishable quality as the goal by the end of residency that we all are required to complete. And I will say one of the best things about UPMC is that we do go to a lot of different sites. We have, the large academic medical center, which is where our medically complex rehab unit is, where we take care of transplant and LVAD patients. We have model systems units for both traumatic brain injury and spinal cord injury. We have a community inpatient center, and then outpatient is a huge variety of like sports clinics, ortho clinics, pain, amputee. There is a little bit of VA exposure, not inpatient, it's a little bit of outpatient pain at the VA. And then we do have some attendings who do some consults at skilled nursing and transitional rehab units, which is always a nice diverse experience. So this was one of my favorite aspects of the program when I was trying to decide what to do, is that it is inpatient heavy as a 2, which we find works out quite well because, you're coming off of intern year where you've done a lot of medicine and you've been used to managing patients on the floor, and those skills are useful as a 2. And then you progressively, as you work towards what you want to do with your career, you get more and more diverse experiences. And I know for a previous talk, someone had asked if you get the opportunity to tailor your schedule towards your fellowship or career goals as you go on. And I will say that as a PGY 3, you get 1 elective that you can do whatever you want with. And then as a PGY 4, you get 3 elective blocks. So by that time, you can really start to tailor your schedule towards what you're trying to do. And so just to briefly touch again on our unique program features, we have a dedicated research track. By the end of your PGY 2 year, you'll have to decide if this is something that you choose to pursue. You'll be in the RMSTP program, where the RMSTP meets at the AAP meeting every year. But this gives you just a little bit more protected research time, a little bit more structure and support for your research interests. Everybody, regardless of whether they choose to do the research track, is required to complete that, that 1 project, but it can range from a literature review or a case study or a book chapter, up to a full, you know, completely self-designed and self-implemented research project, depending on your interests. One of the things that I didn't see elsewhere on when I was interviewing for programs was the administrative track, which is really cool. So you also get protected time to learn about health policy, health finance, and patient safety and quality. You have specific administrative track mentors, and you have you do a dedicated administrative project, which can range from, we had a project this past year where the resident completely revamped all of our dot phrases to make sure that she worked with our coding team to make sure that they're hitting all the billing and coding points to reduce our queries, to someone created like our entire workflow for amputee management from date of surgery on to help to streamline that process. And so those are both like really cool aspects of our program, I think. And just touching on diversity, I know that's a big concern just with medicine in general, and UPMC being a part of an undergraduate university like the University of Pittsburgh, we get our own resources through the health system, but we also get the benefit of collaborating strongly with the University of Pittsburgh undergraduate and graduate schools to try and work towards this goal of having a diverse workforce and to support the diverse residents we already have. So just getting in a little bit more to the program perks here, I do want to save time for questions. So I don't want to go too long, but we get health insurance, we get a meal card for when you're at Mercy, which is where most of the rehab units are. You get separate educational funds and conference attendance funds, and you get special days off for conferences. We get free parking, flexible vacations, there's daycare right at Mercy, which a lot of residents with children use. And just the cost of living in general in Pittsburgh is really excellent. And so it's quite affordable to live here. So for didactics, we have 5 hours of protected time every Wednesday from 7 to noon. And similar to Temple's, you report to your rotation by 1 o'clock that afternoon. We do, you know, pre-COVID, we did a lot of in-person workshops. So we would do a workshop for peripheral joints. We do a 6-week cadaver dissection course in the spring. And then we also do dedicated workshops for MSK ultrasound and spasticity. HURL is the Human Engineering Research Lab, which is this really cool collaboration with the Pitt Department of Engineering. It started out as a wheelchair testing facility, but it's turned into just this place where people make crazy stuff. You know, having Carnegie Mellon in town with their robotics department is where a lot of our like brain-computer interface research comes from, and just a lot of really cool stuff. And so we get to go there and play with their toys. And we also do we visit the P&O sites to get to really talk with those the vendors and the prosthetists and orthotists and see the workshops, and those are always nice to get away from the hospital, but also get away from the lecture hall for a little bit. Our residents do a lot of volunteering. We do a lot with adaptive sports. So this is our wheelchair shoulder health fair where we do shoulder health counseling. The Steel Wheelers is the local wheelchair basketball team. This in the lower left-hand corner is one of our residents, one of our chief residents, Andrew McCoy, and one of our attendings, Dr. Glong. Andrew's brother, Dan, is a Paralympic athlete. He's actually a sled hockey athlete, but here he did the Pittsburgh Marathon hand cycling. And then every year we also do a sled hockey challenge where the residents play against the attendings. So that's what this picture is. The attendings usually like to say that they win, but it's always a lot of fun. So this is our residents and our attendings with the local sled hockey team. We have a wellness committee that helps us to do events throughout the year to just try and monitor our wellness. We do picnics, and sometimes we'll do yoga in class, or we'll do special holiday events. And so it's nice, but we'll also do things like financial wellness talks or talks about contract negotiation or career development stuff, just to try and keep things well-rounded and put things in perspective for people. We have a very diverse, as far as geographically diverse residents, and we even included Australia over here. One of our residents, he just graduated, was from Australia, so he gets his own picture. So
hey Jennifer, sorry to interrupt. Just want to let you know you have 5 minutes left, okay?
okay, so I'll just briefly touch on Pittsburgh as a city of neighborhoods. It's a great place to live. It can be beautiful. There can be a lot to do. We have fun while we're there. City of bridges, city of champions, Steel City, whatever you want to call it. But Pittsburgh's great. And so I'll just put in a plug for our social media, as well as virtual open house that we're doing next week. And this information will be available for you guys after as well. So thank you. And I will take any questions now. I didn't want to push it this far, but I...
Excellent, very good. Well, there are some questions popping up on the chat box. If you have access, you can read them and answer at your convenience.
So someone asked, do most residents live in Southside or in downtown Pittsburgh? Our residents live all over. Some live, very few actually live in downtown, but a lot live in Southside, but there's 5 or 6 or 7 different neighborhoods, all within a 15-minute drive of most of our sites that people live in, and each of them has their own different flavor. But some people live even further out. It's more affordable. Some people can buy houses if they're about a 20-minute commute. So some people do that. So if you've had a chance to work with patients recovering from COVID, yes. So we, Pittsburgh has been lucky that we didn't have to get pulled to cover. And we did, so we had people who were convalescing from COVID on the unit, which was really interesting. I took care of one myself who, he came in so fatigued, he couldn't even chew. Like he had a peg tube because the act of chewing was fatiguing. And he just made huge leaps and bounds from when he came in to when he left. So a lot of times they're just very severely debilitated. They've lost a lot of weight. They've been in the hospital for a long time, but very rewarding. They've seen from the small number that we've had come through, they bounce back quite quickly. And so sports coverage question. We do cover some sports, a lot of high school. We cover a few of the different teams for Duquesne University. We cover the Pittsburgh Marathon, and we cover a lot of adaptive sports.
You still have 2.5 minutes. You can go back to your presentation, or just the stage is still yours.
Sure. So I'll just tell you guys, I remember being in your shoes. I still have my Google Doc that I made of every program, and I like gridded it all out like an Excel sheet of the pros and cons. Anything you would recommend 3rd and 4th year students to do now to be competitive applicants? So I think find something that you enjoy and stick with it. So we've had applicants who, you know, from the get-go, they've been off and running with everything being PM&R related, and they've got original research as in medical students related to PM&R, whereas there's other people who found PM&R later in their medical school career, and that doesn't have to make or break you. You just find something that you're interested in. I did a lot of health advocacy stuff, not necessarily PM&R related, but it was something that was consistent with me. So that's what I think. Just find some stuff that you like and stick with it and show that you can talk about it. So UPMC, new rehab center. Yes. So as of right now, from what I know, it's going to be mostly outpatient. Our inpatient units will not be moving over to the new rehab center. But if you call into our call next week, we can dive into a little bit more of those details. Do the residents in the categorical track have the same experience? Roughly, yes. We select your electives a little bit. So you do one fewer ICU block, which is nice. Same number of medicine blocks. And you do like neurology, rheumatology. There is room to do a PM&R elective. You do one block of that. And so it's roughly the same. There's a couple opportunities to be different. And yes, we do both inpatient and outpatient rotations at UPMC Children's.
Well, excellent. Thank you very much. Perfect timing. You have about 10 seconds left. That will give